This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update for you. Rampage featuring John Moxley doing a blade job did a 0.11 rating. What do they say? Red equals green. So after doing their lowest rating ever last week, 0.08, which, by the way, Orange Cassidy was in the main event for that one. They got a couple more points higher. SmackDown's final rating was a 0.57. Vice is going to be airing a Vince McMahon documentary tomorrow night at 9 and again at 3 a.m. And, of course, the Vice people are actually going to be here tomorrow, too. Filming my part of the Abdullah the Butcher episode for Dark Side of the Ring, Season 3. Steven Regal has done an interview with Inside the Ropes, and he said in this interview that NXT peaked in February 2020. And apparently it had nothing to do with Vince, why he had to leave the WWE when he was released. He did indicate, without saying the name, that he seemed to have heat with an official there. As he mentioned, the talent were coming to him when they were supposed to be coming to someone else. So he knew his time was going to be limited, and he also brought up that this guy was an idiot, and he kept calling him an idiot. So you can only assume that this guy was Johnny Ace, because he also mentioned that it was someone that replaced Triple H, and I believe Triple H had been head of talent relations before. I think Bruce Pritchard at first took it over when Triple H first had his heart issue. And then it was given back to Johnny Ace. Then Johnny Ace was forced out of the company due to all this stuff that happened with him and Vince McMahon, supposedly sharing women and so forth that were also employees. The other thing he said is he had two contracts with WWE. One was an employment contract, I guess, for his backstage role, as well as a talent contract. And he said his talent contract was good until the end of April of this year. But WWE let him start with AEW in March. So he said he's likely the only person to ever be getting a WWE and AEW paycheck at the same time. He didn't want anything to do with the behind the scenes in WWE, in AEW. He said that he was burnt out, just wanted to be talent. So there you go. There's some information on Regal. And again, apparently his contract, he seems to be done with AEW now. For whatever reason, doesn't seem they want to use him for the rest of the month, even though supposedly he's not starting back until January with WWE, and I guess they could have picked him up for another year, but Tony Khan, he's definitely not as good of a businessman as Eric Bischoff. I don't think Eric Bischoff would have let him out of his contract to go take supposedly a vice president job behind the scenes with the competition. And the other thing that Sullivan brought up recently on a podcast was New Japan was paying the New Japan wrestlers in WCW, where Khan is actually paying all these New Japan guys, as well as putting a lot of them under contract, even though interest doesn't seem to be getting any better in AEW. Interest seems to be taking a nosedive for that company. By the way, I would like to thank everybody for the good year I got my YouTube, even though the year is not done yet. Almost 30 million views this year, almost 40,000 new subscribers. So the reason I got a lot of haters is because I'm the number one shoot interviewer on the internet. I have the most popular shoot interviews on the internet. and I appreciate the fan support.